Hey folks, AJ the CEO here, and I am really excited that we got ourselves another camera here. It's from the original OG folks, that company that I've reached out to and reached out to me, and that is the PTZOptics Move SE. This is a 1080p PTZ camera that has AI tracking it. So let's go ahead. I already got it hooked up. Let's get it powered up and get it connected to my ATEM, clean up my desk so we can actually do a proper review of this thing. All right, folks. So again, I want to give a big shout out to PTZOptics again. They contacted me, sent me this, so they did not pay for this review. This opinion is my own. We're going to let the product stand on its own. So let's go ahead and see what's inside. You already know what's inside, but let's just do it anyway. So we got this up in here. And again, obviously the camera is already taken out because you see it behind me over here. And pretty much the same stuff that typically comes inside of these. And I don't know why I'm struggling to open this box. But inside of here, that's where the camera would be. Obviously, it's not there because I have it set up. Have a lens cap to cover that. Side of here, we have, let's pull down a little bit in here. We have our remote. Got some batteries. Thank you for including batteries. We have a power brick here with a bunch of adapters that we can use. Now, obviously, I am not using these. Well, not obviously. I'm not using this because this camera does support PoE power. That is how I have mine connected. Love the fact that that's becoming standard on a lot of these cameras. Then you don't have to worry about running electrical there. We do have a RS-232 cable here. And we have a locking USB-C cable, which I like. This is the same thing that goes on my other camera, which I really like, and goes to a typical USB connection. So actually, let me keep this out because we're going to play around with that. And that's pretty much it. All right, so let's look at the I/O ports on the back of this thing. So we look in here, as you can see, we have a line in and a line out, which is kind of cool. You have your 12-volt DC power, your network, your USB 2.0, which I believe this is actually only for loading stuff. You have your Kensington lock here if you want to put it in place and lock it up. This is your IR reader, so if you're aiming, you'll go right there. We have your system select. Again, it's by default to where it will actually pull the resolution from the menu, but you can set it to one of these settings because on the bottom it shows you which setting is what for the resolution that you want. I like to keep it in the select so you can actually do it through the menu or through the remote. Like I said, you have your SDI out, you have your RS485, HDMI out, there's your USB-C, and it has a USB locking one that actually has a screw that will hold it in place so it can't snag loose. And you have your in and out RS232 connections. Pretty basic stuff. Now, the other thing I will want to bring to your attention, there is no on and off button on this. So this is another reason why when I use these type of cameras, I put them on a powered, I put it in the PoE switch, but then I have the PoE switch. I just kill the power to that turns the power off to the cameras as well as the joystick. So just be mindful of that. And then, of course, on the bottom, I didn't mention it, we have our corded thread, so you can put this on a typical tripod, and then it has kind of like a locking one that will keep it aligned. Some tripods have that. Most of mine have that. So this one's just stationary to hold it in place, and then this is a screw to screw it down. So any typical wall mount and ceiling mounts will work with this. So pretty straightforward. So I already have it hooked up behind me, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut over to that. As you can see, it's right there. We have it hooked up. We're going to go ahead and use that and look through the whole menu and all we typically do, and then put some performance to it right now to see how good the AI tracking is, because right now I am using a tracking camera right now. We're going to replace this and put that one here and see how everything goes. But let's go through the menus, go through the setup and everything that's needed to get this thing working. All right, so we're here on the desk. Let's go ahead and cut over to the computer and let's check out the camera. And now I already have it set up. It's getting power. If I cut over here real quick, you can see that we do have an image. It's already connected through, and we'll cycle back and everything is default. I have not made any changes to this, but let's go ahead and get on the system and check it out. All right, so right now I'm on PTZOptics website right now. And the first thing, especially with setting this up, you're going to go over here to resources. We're going to go to applications. And then we're going to scroll down here and we're going to go ahead and look at the upgrade tool. Get version 2.8 if you're on Windows, or on Mac, get 2.7. Either one will work. And that is what I've actually already downloaded. Now, the beauty of PTZOptics cameras is as long as it's connected to your network, if it's set to its default IP address, if it comes out the factory, or if it's set to DHCP, it really doesn't matter. This tool actually works to be able to set the IP address. So if I come in here to the new one here, and we're going to run the upgrade tool, you may get a warning. If it's an unknown program, it is fine. Just go ahead and give it permissions. And I'm going to set my network here. And we're going to go, you probably won't have them. I have a bunch of networks on my stuff on my computer, but let's go ahead and search for it. And again, it's picking up all of my cameras, the two that I have on, which is really cool because this software does work for a bunch of them. But I know it is this camera. If it was not set to your network, what you could do, this will still show up. It won't show the appropriate IP address, but it will still work. So like, for example, let me actually go in here and I'm going to go to this IP address and I'm going to change the camera's IP address just to show how everything will work. And we're going to be redoing this all over again. So if I had set this to a fixed IP address, let's just change it to 10. So it's on something completely different. Actually, let me change it to 70 because I know that is not in the range that is on my stuff that's already set up. Let's go ahead and apply that. We're going to reboot it. And then let's go ahead and go back to that software once it has been rebooted. All right, it's just spinning around on me. So as of right now, my IP address range is 192.168.0. That is the range that I'm in. So right now, physically, I won't be able to connect to this camera. But if we search for this tool again, let's search it. And as you can see, this tool just talks directly to the camera, even though it is not physically on the network. That's why this is a beautiful tool. Love the fact that PTZOptics has written this so that if you ever have an issue, as long as it's connected to your network on a switch that your computer is also on, doesn't matter if the IP address is not the same, you can still send commands to it. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've done my search, I'm going to right click on it, go to config, and this is where I can now directly change the IP address. I'm going to change it back to 0.1 range, and we set it. Hit OK. As you see, it went away. The camera is rebooting now. Let's give it a second. All right, it's already rebooted. Let's go ahead and do a search again. And boom, there you go. Easy way to get to it. Have a link that'll go directly to that with PTZOptics stuff. And then some cameras will work with that software as well too, but we're focusing on PTZOptics right now, but they make great stuff. So let's go ahead and go back to the web page now. And let's check out everything with this camera. So if I come out, redo it again, we have our login, and I like the fact that actually it does look different than all the other pages. So default password, username and password, admin. Let's log in here. And as you can see, there we go. Now, let's go through our camera settings. On the main page, you have access to your speeds for your pan, tilt, zoom, and focus. You can reset it to your defaults. You have access to your presets. Now, I already have presets in here because this is the camera. The position that I have it is when I do my Q&As on Friday. So if I press number 1, and that is going really slow. So I need to change the speed on this. and we can go to our preset number 2. And there we go. So I need to play around with our speed settings of this because that was way too slow for me. But that's what you can set this if you want to set a new position here. So if I come over here. Oh, and it's locked because I actually have it on tracking mode. So if you have this on tracking, none of the movement will work. So let me actually turn that off. So now let me, oh, did I hit apply? No, I didn't. There we go. Now it stopped. So now I can use this and move this all around. So if I want to set a preset here, I can go ahead and pick a number here. So I'm going to pick this as 5 and set. So now we have that preset set. All right, so let's go ahead and press preset number 1. So we're there, and the arm that holds my camera up is in the way. I normally move that. But anyway, let's go ahead and now hit number 5, which is the one we just set. And boom, there you go. So I like using presets to make the flow easier, and worst case scenario, if you don't have access to the controller, which I don't have my controller set up right here beside me, I can go in and set everything through a preset. So really cool. So we got our speeds. You know, we can't go any higher on the zoom and the focus speed, but there is a recall speed to your presets. I need to find where that is, but that's what adjusts that. But anyway, let's go to image now. This is where you can make the changes to all the stuff that you normally do, your saturation, your luminance, your contrast, sharpness, all this other fun stuff. Your exposure, I have mine set to auto. We also have a lot of all my other stuff. I typically don't change this. The most I change is maybe the anti-flicker if needed. I normally set that to 60 Hertz so that it just matches with what I'm recording. You can change your color. I also have that on auto. Focus, I have that on auto. And then advanced, this is where you can do the auto inversion. So if I flip this and mounted this upside down, it will automatically switch instead of me going in and changing the settings there. All right. Now under control, this is where we can turn on the tracking functions of the camera. So if I come in here now and let's turn the tracking on and we apply. And what I'm going to do is also change the view that you're seeing right now to that camera. All right. So now there you go. And if we move a little bit, all right, so by default, we might want to play around with the speed just a little bit, and it's tracking. Let's go ahead and change back over to my monitor here. So let's see here. So we have tracking options. Time delay. When auto tracking is enabled, target selection will be delayed until user-defined time interval in seconds has elapsed. See, and that's a time delay of 1 second. Kind of don't like that, but you know, we'll play around with that. Tracking start location. When auto tracking is enabled, the camera first moves to the user-defined preset or home position. So you can switch either one of those. It says track now. So immediately when this feature is on, it just goes to tracking instead of going to a home position or a preset before it starts tracking. That is your choice. Let's go to our modes now. We have your preset tour. Preset tour would call each of the saved presets sequentially, ignoring preset 0. Okay. So you got preset freeze, temporarily pause the video while calling a preset, then unpausing once the position is called. That could be unique. That way you won't see it move until it actually gets the position. Motion sync, synchronize pan, tilt, and zoom when calling presets. I'm wondering, that way it's moving both at the same time and it's not moving then adjusting, then zooming. You can display info, tracking overlay, that's on and off. So that's where it's going to show something there in the back end. That's your choice. And then back here, you have your ports. These are your ports where you're setting up your joystick to connect to it. So for TCP port, that's 5678, UDP port 1259, HTTP 80, and the Sony UDP port, that's 52381. And you can't change that one, but the other ones you can. So really straightforward. You do also have controls to get to the menu here. And I don't know why my feed has froze on me on here, because the camera is actually on, because you see it here. That's the feed. I don't know why it's lagging there on the network, but on the web page, but I'll count that as my network issue and not anything with that. Let's go to the audio video tab. Now you do have video outputs. It does support multiple outputs. That's why we want to test that cable as well too. So you can have USB out, IP out, HDMI, SDI out at 30 frames a second. You can use USB and IP, or you can use USB, HDMI and SDI, or HDMI, SDI, and IP. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's just actually do all of them, all right? And you can set your refresh rate, your video template. I've never really messed with these, so I guess I need to play around with that some more. You have your encoder protocol, H.264 or 265. You can set your resolution. Again, this is 1080p only. That's the max resolution. And you have your frame rate, and it was at 30, but we can go to 60. But I think when you have all of these on, it only supports 30. So let's see. Well, let's cycle through all the rest of these and we set that setting. And your second encoder rate, where you can change it to a different resolution. It does have an audio input. I'm sorry, I didn't show the connection ports. I'll do that as well to show you what type of connections that you do have on the back of this. You have your audio in, on if you want your bit rate for that audio, your line out audio, where you're sending audio out. Do you want it to go out on the HDMI as well too? A bunch of things, but let's go ahead and apply. And it is going to require this to reboot since we changed the frame rate to 60 instead of 30. Now, while it's doing that, I'm actually going to connect the USB to the computer as well too. All right, so we have every output turned on right now. So right now, HDMI out is here. That's directly going into the ATEM. We also have, if I cut over to my other camera here, USB out is going into my Mac right here. That's what you see right there on OBS. And if we move down just a little bit, I am using the SDI out to go to the web presenter. So that's what's going to that. So right now we're using the three main outputs right now to get our feed. Now let's go ahead and just test one more here, but actually, I'm sorry, we need to test the over IP because we have everything turned on. But let's go to our settings first, which happens to be the next menu, and then we'll do that as well. All right, so we go here to streaming, and I have to it logged me out because I did reboot when I did this. Now let's come over here to streaming. So you have RTMP, so you could stream directly from the camera if you wanted to. We want to get the access we can do RTSP, so we can get the feed from the camera into OBS. So that is our streaming settings right there. Let's go to our profile settings. This is where I guess you can make you can upload a logo. That's cool. Let's see. I wonder what that would look like. Let's upload our AJaytheCEO logo. Now it's been uploaded to the camera, but I wonder what that does. So if I cut back over here, obviously it doesn't do it here. I wonder, is it if I log out, will that do it? All right, so I rebooted this, but I don't know where that logo went that we uploaded it. But, oh well, we'll figure it out. All right, let's go back to profile, output, video settings. Select whether the video settings on the video audio page are stored in your profile. Okay, so I guess you can set a profile to where everything is consistent across if you want to put it in different environments. So say I want to take this and put it in a church, or then put it in a field house or inside of a gym, something like that. So, okay, so let's see what the logo is. Browse your PC, upload this, the max resolution, upload it to the web interface. Again, I don't know where that actually is going to go, but we'll see. Show tutorial mode. While checked, the information symbols or associated text will be available, giving a description of each available setting. Okay, that's cool. So now at least you can look over here, and that's what tells you what all that is. So that's awesome. All right, let's go to our network settings, and we were already here. But this is where you can set your IP address. You can set it to DHCP. Me personally, I don't like doing that. I like the cameras to know exactly what they are every single time, and they don't change, because that is the possibility if you're using DHCP. So you can set your time server if you want to pull the time and all that other stuff. Straightforward. Now, NDI settings. This camera does support NDI, but you have to pay for it. It's an upgrade. I think it's like $100 for this upgrade. So again, if you did that, yeah, it's $99 if you wanted to add NDI functions. So not bad, not superly expensive or anything like that, but that you do have the option if you wanted to turn this into an NDI camera. All right, let's look at our other information here, device info. This is where you can give it a name. It gives you the firmware and all this other cool stuff like that. Then go to our system settings. This is where you could add a HTTPS certificate here so that you don't have to, you can have it run on a secure connection if you want to. You can change the password to username, do a guest password. You can set your IR remote to what channel the camera is actually going to respond to. And you also have this option here that will check for your firmware to see if you're up to date, which we are. And that's really cool. And that will at least tell you, and then you can go update it if need be. You can reset your menu reset that just keeps everything, but all your menu settings, your camera settings, all that stuff has been done. And if we go to advanced, this is where you can upload that. You can also now, under advanced, do a network reset. Say that you put the IP address in the wrong place. You can do it this way, or you can do a factory reset that will completely wipe everything out as if you just got the camera brand new. So really slick. All right. Now, I didn't see where the stream for this camera is, but we're going to figure that out. So let's go ahead and open up OBS here. And we already got our IP address. We want to see if we can connect to it directly. So let's go to RTSP. Let's go ahead and use the default, and let's change our IP address to 91, and let's see. And I guess we need to turn it on as well too. And there it goes. Pretty straightforward. But as you can see, there is a delay. You saw how slow that was. So not bad, but again, I wouldn't use this directly because it's going to be a delay to keep it with sound. But so right now we are outputting over IP, HDMI, SDI, and USB. So really cool. You have different options. So say you want to have one of these and you have it connected to a video switcher like I have right now, and that's when everything is turned on. But it happens to be in a location to where somebody just wants this for Zoom and you just want this to show up that way. You could do it that way too over the USB. Or you have an SDI feed running to some other part of the building and you want this to be the back static camera. That's another option as well too. So signing up and joining the camera to your joystick is pretty much the same as anywhere else. You have to just search for it, link it to the IP address, use Visca over IP, and set your port. Again, UDP was 1259, and then TCP was 5678. Be aware of that, and then it'll be straightforward. I don't have another joystick to hook up to it to show exactly, and the joystick I'm using, that's actually another review, so that's why I'm not going to show how to do it on that one, because it's for video stuff, just like this one is. But really cool. And what I need to do is I've been working with a bunch of other churches in the area that we've upgraded, so I now want to take one of these and put this in an environment to do some tracking, to test it out, to see how it works. I need to be available with that as well too. So be on the lookout for that. So I will test a little stuff right now just to show you how that works. Let me make sure I turn the tracking back on in the camera. So we go to controls and turn that on and apply. And now we're on tracking. So let's just see the quality. I'm just going to stay inside my office and let's see how this works. So really cool. So with all of those features, minus the NDI, because that is a $99 fee that you can turn this into an NDI camera. But this features with everything that comes with this comes in at around $1,099 for that, which is really, really good, because I have not found a AI tracking camera that is in that price range. All the other ones have been 4K and they were $1,500 and up. And much higher. This is the first 1080p one that I have messed with that has AI in it. And then for that features and added, that's not significantly more than what you typically would be paying for, especially by adding this feature to it. Simplifies. You can just turn on tracking and let it do its thing. But again, just like any other camera or anything, you're going to have to dial this in. My environment is very closed in this little office living room area. But then this is going to be completely different if you're in an entire sanctuary. And recognize how I would use this is I don't think the AI is good enough yet to track multiple people and lock to one person. So this would be something to put in place when you know only one person is going to be there, because last thing you want is to be tracking your pastor and then somebody walks up to go to the bathroom, then it starts tracking them instead. So be mindful of that. Be on the lookout for some other videos that I do to set and show the actual performance of this in an actual live environment. It's not going to be really any talking. I'll tag in the comments or I'll put it in my community post of check out this live stream that I put the camera so you can actually see it in action. So be on the lookout for that. And you won't miss it if you make sure that you have your bell notifications turned on. And just again, big thank you to PTZOptics. They were one of the very first companies that ever reached out, and I appreciate them sending. They were the first one that gave me a PTZ camera that I actually installed and tested out over at Antioch. And, you know, y'all are still putting out great stuff, and really appreciate just trusting me to actually check this out, give a review. And again, great product. And link is down below if you're interested in getting one of these. So if you like this type of content, appreciate a like, consider subscribing, hit that bell. That way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. Thanks for watching, folks. This is AJ. Catch you on the next video. Later.